Hello and welcome to another episode of the CRM Zen Show, where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 286, Zapier, I Hardly Writer, recorded on Friday, January 19th, 2024 from Zenatta Consulting. I'm Tyler Colt.
And I am just basking in this new homepage. Just
The new
loving the
little
way it
thumbnail
looks.
here. Yeah, for
Uh,
listeners won't know, but Freddie put in some work here and kind of remade our little intro page, thumbnail, etc. We're loving it. It's got my old Iowa City airport headshot that I took 5 years ago there in cartoon format. We
yeah.
got with the illustrious Greg and his beard still just making me self-conscious day after day.
Yep. As is
Good.
my desire. Yep. Everything is happening exactly according to plan.
Perfect.
Always keeping you just on edge.
Just a little bit, yeah. Just that little bit of off the hinge that we need to keep us going. Before we get too sidetracked here, let us go ahead and jump right on into announcements and events. All right, so over on Club Zenatta, affectionately known as Club Z, over at club.zenatta.com. As everybody knows, we do catalog all Zoho events in the world of Zoho. Many of them are ours, but we do also display those that Zoho's putting on, as well as any other partners or groups that have anything going. Just earlier this week, it's not on the list because it was on Tuesday, we did do our full walkthrough of Marketing Automation 2.0. Wayne, our director of marketing, was nice enough to put that together. Coming up on the calendar is, for February, obviously, we're going to keep doing our CRM and Azaz. We'll be looking at a Recruit full product overview coming down the pipeline. So if you are looking at Zoho Recruit, definitely something that you want to take a look at. In the world of Zoho events here coming up in February, it looks like it is Zoho Social. That is what they're doing, Social and CRM Plus. So some webinars, some user groups, some workshops coming up. Some of these ones are actually localized. So the CRM Plus for Las Vegas will be on the 15th. CRM Plus for Chicago on the 19th. So definitely jump over and take a look. They're also sneaking in a Zoho mail migration webinar. That would be a good one to watch if you're thinking about moving over.
Absolutely.
Mail migrations are not something you want to get wrong. It can be pretty painful. So well worth taking a look at there. In terms of other events, we need one of those like sad, like noises when we go to this. No one sends us any other events here. Yeah. We will put them here. Other partners, anybody, we'll market your events for you. But otherwise, definitely always worth taking a look at Club Zenatta. It's where we keep a whole bunch of different good stuff, including the code share that we cover every week. So make sure to jump on over there and subscribe. So with that, let us jump on into a relatively quick news week for Zoho. All right, so first article here coming from the world of Zoho CRM. This is exciting. This is a step in a direction that I've been waiting for them to move for a long time. So what they now are allowing us to do is provide support access for Zoho CRM. So what does this mean? This means that you can allow a developer or a tech representative access to the CRM so they can identify and resolve any types of problems or issues. So really what this is this is providing support to Zoho, not to a third party. So let's be clear about that, but it's providing some access to Zoho so that they can come in on the back end and do troubleshooting activities without a remote session. This is a big deal. People who are Zoho admins or work with Zoho a lot know that sometimes there's a bug, there's an issue, right? It happens, right? This happens in all software tools. And sometimes the Zoho team needs to see it from the user perspective to figure out what's going on. It's not always super obvious on the back end, right? Sometimes they need to like inspect element in the browser and like see the failure on a webhook call. And then they're like, got it, The challenge with that is that a lot of their like higher level, more technical support members are not in US time zones. And so what this would lead to is having to jump on a Zoho Assist session at like 6 a.m., right? Or at like 9 p.m., right? So that you can get the people involved that need to be there for this. What this is basically doing is you're saying, hey, we're going to provide them access for a given period of time. That can be 1 day or many days. We can revoke that access at any time. We can see really everything that they're doing, and we'll know kind of what they can see and interact with. But the big deal here is just that we are now able to have them take a look at things without having to do it live on an assist session. That's just not a great customer experience for people, right? Like the 6 a.m. thing, it just doesn't really work. Does also provide a full audit log, so you can see everything that a particular support user has done. Really nice thing. This is available for everybody, so you don't need to be on like the Ultimate Edition or anything for this, including free editions. So if you're on Zoho One or CRM Plus, you're good to go. Yeah, this is really, really nice. I would love to see this in every app, to be honest with you, because people don't like those late night support calls, right? Sometimes they have to happen. They have to see it from your side, but it doesn't really work for a lot of customers.
Well, and even beyond that, you can, like, what I'm probably going to use this for is preemptively, like when I open my support ticket with Zoho, I'm just going to go ahead and turn, because anyone who's used Zoho Analytics knows that there's already that share workspace with support. And after you've done 1 or 2 support requests with Zoho, and they always ask you, well, please share the workspace with us so we can go ahead and take a look. Eventually, you're just like, okay, if I got to make a support ticket, I'm just going to already share it and share it to them. And that also is able to cut down on the back and forth of like having to explain the problem and always asking for like screenshots, right?
Yeah.
Whereas you can just now out the gate say, hey, this is what's going on. I've shared it to you. You can go in and look. There's less of that.
Like, here's a video,
back and forth.
Here's a URL of a test record that you can play with, right? You will see this issue on the test record. But yeah, just allowing this type of bug testing to happen asynchronously, meaning we don't need to be on a call with you to get it done, is huge. Because sometimes, like, we as a partner will get involved in this process and I'll be the one on the screen share. But what if I have a conflict at the next available time? Well, now it means that this issue doesn't get solved for another day, right? Until that next available time is open. So now we can just say, hey, get this on your guys' list, knock it out. And yeah, it's much better than having to wait and coordinate a time to do this live. So big shout out to Zoho. I'd love to see this for like all the core applications, desk, books, projects, really the whole list of them. Just again, because it probably makes Zoho's life easier too. They don't want to have to coordinate this assist session. They can just jump in, get this stuff done.
100%.
Make everybody happy. So big shout out to Zoho. Great job on this. It's been a long time coming.
Yep.
Next story here, coming from the world of Zoho Bookings, still in the world of support. Basically, Zoho Bookings team has rolled out an enhanced help widget. So you see this in some Zoho applications where kind of like you click on your profile in the top right. I guess I'm mirrored for video watchers, so the top right over here. And then there'll be a little help tab where you can choose different channels to get support. Now they're offering some new features. You can do built-in screen recording, submitting a support request. This is basically email, live chat, and then enabling the edit access for the support team. So one cool thing here that I will highlight, a lot of these, it's like, yeah, obviously an app should just have support built in.
Default. Yeah.
But this is actually cool. So one of the things they've added in this support tab is the support tab and widget itself will allow a user to record their screen. So
that's really
for us
cool.
at Zenatta, we use Loom, right? So we've already got a tool to do this. We just click, I'm recording, and I send that link over to Zoho. But not everyone has Loom, right? Not everybody has a screen recording tool that they can easily use. So just being able to like quickly pull up a screen recording while you're submitting a ticket is really nice. I'm pretty impressed by that. I haven't seen that in any other applications.
Yeah. And even more so, I love, you see there's at the end of that middle paragraph there that it says, notably for privacy concerns, you can trim the video or apply the blur function to mask sensitive data in the recorded video. That's a very nice tool that I don't see in a lot of other like either screen recording or just screen capture stuff. Like that's why I actually I've actually been using Zoho's Chromium web browser, Ula, for a while
Ooh la
now
la.
because ooh la la, because it has a built-in, screen capture and record feature that has like a nice little blurring tool
Mhm.
for masking any sensitive data, which I don't know why more things don't have it. Like I take screenshots on my Mac or whatever, and like I could like make a box, right, and cover
Yeah,
it, but then sometimes I like to use the boxes to highlight stuff, and so then I got
yeah.
to keep switching back and forth between doing a filled box or an empty
And an
box,
unfilled box.
and it's
Yep.
yeah. So I like those little quality of life things that Zoho has in there. That I'm surprised it's not like a standard thing across the board.
Yeah. Really cool. Maybe it will be. One of the things with Zoho Bookings is it is kind of like a lower volume application, right? So maybe they're
Mm-hmm.
trying this out on an app where, like, you roll this out to CRM, you're going to get 1,000 screen recordings a day. So
Yes.
many people are using it, right? Where
Yeah.
you can roll this out for bookings, kind of test the waters a little bit, see if people like to
Yep.
use it, and then bring it over to some of the other apps, hopefully. But yeah, really nice. Again, the widget itself, sure, it's always nice to have these, but just wanted to highlight that. I thought the built-in recording was pretty darn cool. So shout out to the booking team. I like that. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
Couple more quick stories on the back end of this. So we don't talk a lot about ManageEngine. ManageEngine is one of Zoho's kind of more IT support focused tools. It's technically a different company, but it's Zoho. Behind the scenes, it kind of runs it. So cool thing here that they've rolled out for WorkDrive using ManageEngine is kind of a full backup and restore for your WorkDrive content using ManageEngine. So this is something that people do ask us about sometimes is like, hey, we want to move on a Zoho WorkDrive. How do I have a backup, right? I'm going to have all my files there. I'm going to have all my marketing assets, all this video content, everything there.
Okay.
And if something happens, right? Now, we never expect it to happen. And I've never had a situation where Zoho has lost anyone's data. But hey, redundancy, right? So we want to have some type of backup. The only way to do it before was basically to use Zoho TrueSync
Mm-hmm.
and sync it to like an external hard drive. Like Brett, the CEO for Zenatta, does that. He's got an external hard drive that just syncs all of our WorkDrive stuff.
I will say
Well, it's
I
one
don't
sync and
think.
TrueSync.
Yeah, I think it's one sync, because one sync is the one that actually has like it creates two files in two locations. Because
Because yeah,
TrueSync,
one meaning two files.
because TrueSync is truly synced in that there's one record of truth, and
I always get those
it
backwards.
so that's how I remember it. TrueSync is
Got
there's
it.
one record of truth, and it keeps those in line.
Nice. But yeah, so
But
essentially,
yeah,
won't get into all the nitty gritty, but yeah, they're essentially going to allow you to automate backups, do like incremental backups to make it more efficient, choose where you want to store it. So yeah, really cool. Again, there have been ways to do these backups before, but not to like a cloud system. You can only really do it to
yeah,
like a local hard drive,
hmm
right? Using
yeah.
one of those sync options.
And an interesting thing in this story that's really just tucked into the story that you wouldn't notice otherwise is that this added a new API call to the WorkDrive
Mhm.
API, the Changes API, which I guess it was like they had to make a new API call for this backup to work, and they were like,
Probably for the
"Hey, we made
incremental, right? If you
yeah."
wanted the
They were like,
incremental backup, you'd have to be able to look at the changes to only get the things
"Yeah,
that change.
yeah," and so they were like, "Well, I guess we made this API. We might as well share it with people."
So let people use
Which,
it.
yeah, which I love that. I love that philosophy. Um, But yeah, so now there's a new API call you can use in WorkDrive to uh, you can see any recent changes that have happened in your WorkDrive system for a given time period. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know what you might use that for outside of this, but just know that it's there now.
See it, like you've got maybe some type of folder, and if something new is added to that folder, you want to do something. So every day you run a
Yeah,
check against like the changes API, and if there's a change, you do a thing, right? We won't specify what
Yeah.
exactly you would do, but you could run like a scheduler maybe that would like look for these types of changes and then take an action somewhere.
Yeah, that could be good
Um,
because I think about like we have like Zoho flows set up, right? That
yeah,
whenever a file is uploaded to I think we have a flow that's just like anytime a file is uploaded to WorkDrive, then we have a flow that like checks and sees like, oh, is this in a like watched folder? Is this in a folder
yeah,
like one of our shared client folders to
yep,
then notify the assigned consultant? Um, where maybe depending on the volume of how many things are getting uploaded into your system at a time, maybe you want to, like you said, create a schedule to get like every, you know, just maybe just once a day,
yeah,
give me a digest of all the things that have been uploaded to
yeah.
WorkDrive recently, rather than getting a notification for each individual file. So that could
Yeah.
be nice.
Yeah. It is funny though. They kind of just snuck that in here. It's totally a situation where
Yeah.
they built it. Specifically, they had to have built it for incremental backups. And they're like, oh, this is cool. This works really well. Let's just
Yeah.
make it a public API. So shout out to Zoho
Just add
sneaking
it.
in a nice little API change in the mix here. I wonder if that'll
Mm-hmm.
ever get its own story, or if it'll just be a sneaky little thing in the documentation.
I think it's just gonna slide right under there, and I don't think anybody will hear of it ever again.
All righty, and moving on to the final news story of today. Here we are in the Zoho Writer Developer Series forum. So this is announcement. Zoho is adding some new options in the Zapier integration for Zoho Writer, hence our show title. We almost cut the story, but then we realized it was the show title, so we might as well keep it. Essentially, we don't talk a lot about Zapier on this show. We find ourselves using Flow a lot more often. But,
Mm-hmm.
let's be honest, Zapier is pretty universal. It's going to have more connectors than Zoho Flow. So occasionally you might find yourself using it as part of an automated sequence. So what they've done here is essentially add new actions, right? So like a merge and store, a merge and sign, send for signature, creating documents, right, with text or with the URL. So they've really just expanded here on the existing Zapier integration. I think it already existed, but was just a lot more limited.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of these, I mean, these are similar actions to what you've got, in the API and in Zoho Flow, right? So like the ability to merge and sign, merge and send. So yeah, really nice little update there. Again, we do try to stay out of Zapier whenever possible. It's one of those applications that's like a good deal when you're not using it a lot, but becomes a
Mm-hmm.
bad deal when you start using it a ton. Once
Mm-hmm.
they know they got you, the price is not great for most users.
Okay, interesting.
Um,
Yeah, I wonder if this is like, because I imagine that like if you use Zapier, because sometimes you have to use Zapier because maybe there's just an app that Flow doesn't have any access to, right?
yeah,
Like I know one is like ConnectWise is a
yeah,
is a system that a lot of people use. Zoho Flow doesn't have any connections to it, so you'll have to get Zapier to get that stuff to flow in and out for you. And so I could see it being like, well, I don't want to have just for my sanity, I don't want to have like flows in Zoho Flow and flows in
yeah,
like Zapier. Can't I just build all my automations in one spot? I can see that
yep.
this would be, this would be nice for that. That it's like, well, I have to be in Zapier anyway, so I might as well
Might as well.
build all my stuff in
Yeah.
Zapier.
Yeah, there actually are, I won't get on my soapbox about how weird this is to me, but there are applications that I've found. Sometimes like a prospect will talk to me and they'll say, hey, we need to integrate with this tool over here. And I go and do some
Mm-hmm.
research. There are applications that don't have a public REST API and only support integration via Zapier.
Yeah.
I've always thought that's weird because it's like to work with Zapier, they must have a REST API. That's like how Zapier works. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if it's like, does Zapier pay them for the exclusive rights? Did they have Zapier come in and build it because it's easier and they save time? Like, anyways, we don't have to go down that
Yeah.
rabbit hole, but it's always been
I
interesting
think
to me when I see those.
Yeah, yeah. When I see that kind of stuff, and you see a lot of it with like WordPress plugins. A lot of them are that way, where
Yeah,
like the WordPress plugin will say like, oh yeah, you can integrate this with Zoho CRM, and it's like, oh okay, cool. And then download the plugin, and it says, all right, just make a Zapier account and
Yeah, it
use
just does a
these. And then it just,
URL redirect to Zapier. It's like,
yeah. And
figure
then
it
it
out,
just,
man.
then it just, it gives you a little how-to video of how to set it up in Zapier. Yeah. I mean, I can imagine that it would be because you could then use Zapier as like a middleman for, I guess it depends on how tech savvy is your general audience, I guess, for your app, right? That like if you're, is it like, is my app the kind of app that is going to have people wanting to like write code to use
Yeah.
APIs if I get it? Or, is all of my are all of my users who need to use integrations, they're the kind of people that want to do it themselves, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to be, if you're that company, you don't want to get a whole bunch of support requests saying, hey, I can't connect to your API. What's wrong with my
Yep.
PHP file? Or what's
Yeah.
wrong with my Python script? Be like,
Yeah,
I
and
don't
you
want
look
to.
and they're trying to send XML and you're like, "Oh no." Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
So
good
I
point. It can
imagine that
limit
it's
support
companies
requests.
that don't want to try to field support tickets for API calls and coders. So it's like, let's just hand that to Zapier. So the only people that we have to talk about like API integrations is Zapier, and then Zapier can
Good
field
point.
any of the like support requests of like, hey, this, is
Isn't
returning an
working
error.
or yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It all becomes
So
Zapier. That's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah, it outsources some of the support for those like smaller teams that might not want to handle the super technical requests.
mhm.
Um, but yeah. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
I'm
again, we
smart,
normally
Tyler.
don't
You
go
you
too deep
often
on.
you often forget that. You often forget that I can be unhinged and smart at the same time.
Eh, I don't know.
Hey.
We'll make a tally. We'll make a tally later and see which way you lean. Maybe we'll do a poll. Is Greg more smart or is Greg more unhinged? And we'll let the we'll let the viewers decide. Let them decide. But anyways, that kind of wraps out the news for this week. So let us jump right on into our implementation of the week. Alrighty, so this one was built by Lucas Santana, one of our consultants, formerly developer extraordinaire. This is a Zoho creator build for inventory counting to kind of extend the functionality of Zoho inventory. So for this client, they've got a variety of different warehouses. Each warehouse has a unique warehouse manager that is responsible for making sure that the stock is accurate for that warehouse. The challenge is it's just not easy in Zoho inventory to like make inventory adjustments to the appropriate warehouse on a regular basis. And we wanted to standardize and streamline that process. So an important note with this client is they already have some creator applications where they're doing inventory related processes. So the users are already kind of touching something in this realm. But so the first thing we did essentially set up in this creator app the various warehouses and defined who is the manager of each warehouse. Then Lucas set up a creator form where, based on that warehouse manager, the warehouse is selected, and then it will pull in all of the products that are associated with that warehouse. Because let's say we have, 4 warehouses and 100 products. They don't all stock all 100 all the time. In my warehouse, I might just stock 30 of those. So if I'm going to do an inventory count, I don't want to see 100 products. I just want to see the 30 that I actually work with on a regular basis. So then within that form, the warehouse manager can go through, right, do the inventory count. Like we're talking boots on the ground. You're actually in the warehouse counting things up for the correct count for each of those items that they should have in stock. And then they can just submit that form and move on with their life. On the back end now, what happens is a script runs that takes all the data from that form, routes it into Zoho inventory to create an inventory adjustment for that warehouse to true up the stock for all of those products that were counted. So just handles the back end of that process with all the stock counts being reconciled. When you do that, depending on how you want to run the inventory adjustment, you sometimes have to do some math of like current stock, new stock difference. There's some things that go into creating an inventory adjustment that are pretty nice to automate. And then kind of the cool thing is that this is a process that the client wants done every month. So we can set up a scheduled function there that will essentially make this request to each warehouse manager to submit this form for their warehouse on a regular basis, right? If they don't do it in a couple of days, you can follow up, email them, etc. Yeah, nice build. And we were finding that Creator can be a nice place to extend inventory functionality, right? We did a similar thing with like a bill of materials and kind of a work in progress production build, not for this client, but for a different one, where, you know, you just have a lot more flexibility inside of Creator to make a workflow that makes sense. So this was a nice build. Wanted to share it. Big shout out to Lucas for some great work here.
Yeah, the other cool thing about this one is that you could continue to expand that Creator app and almost turn it into more of like an inventory portal for your warehouse managers. Because let's say, you know, let's say that just however your workflow works, that your managers are like, man, there's stuff in inventory that I don't care about and I don't have to see, and then there's stuff that I can't do that I need to do. You could kind of sort of create like a, you know, specific user interface for your warehouse managers through Creator. That takes a lot of time to build, but it is always an option that you can take if you're like, man, Zoho inventory, its bones are good, but the functionality is there, but there's just some UI stuff that we wish was different.
Kind of like, I think one of the big drivers for this is like when you're making an inventory adjustment, it will always just show you all products, right? And I use the example for a quick example of 100 products and 4 warehouses. This is a more complicated operation than that. They have many more than 4 warehouses and many more than 100 products. And some of them might be similar, right? So it's like easy to make a mistake, right? Like warehouse A stocks SKU 1, 2, 3, 4. Warehouse B stocks SKU 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can imagine it'd be pretty easy for someone to make an error, right? When you're going through and doing these operations. So
for sure,
being able to set up that type of filtering and like easy access to only the correct products is, I think, a big part of why the client wanted to move forward with this build. But yeah, big shout out to Lucas and a great implementation. So with that, I think we're ready to move on over to your section here, Greg, which will be our code share of the week.
Oh, yeah. All right, over here in Club Z, this is a little bit of a snake eating its own tail because this is a code share from myself that is kind of an expansion on a tip of the week that I recorded a little while back for how I handle errors and info statements in Deluge. So I admit I did not go into a lot of this kind of detail in the video, but specifically I talk about creating a singular variable that you can pass off to like another database to kind of act as like a log. But even if you're not doing that, just for debugging purposes, something that I really like to do and that I've been encouraging all of our developers to do as well is, rather than trying to use the info window, which the info debug console that comes up, it's good. It depends on which app you're using as to whether or not it's a good debugger window. The CRM one, it's pretty good. Like every new info line is a new line. Some really bad ones, Zoho Recruit. It's just, it puts your all info statements as one single line. That just extends forever.
They did redo it though. They did, was it last week?
Oh, did they?
Maybe it was the previous week when Brett was here. Yeah, they're redoing the recruit one, aka they're copy pasting the CRM one. So thank goodness.
Well, yeah, good.
The info statement all being in a single line. That made my steam come out of my ears about a year back when I was coding in there.
Yeah. Similar problem in Zoho Desk. Zoho Desk, it's not all in one line. It is multi-line. It is word wrap, but every info statement that you have, like line by line, it all follows, like there's no line breaks in your info statements in the Zoho Desk one. And so it's, it could be hard to find the specific, especially if you have an info statement that ends up returning nothing. You don't you can't see that
You don't
there's
know that there was
nothing there.
nothing
It
there.
just
Yeah.
it just starts the next info statement. So anyway, so I know I'm rambling a bit here. This is Greg's little dev
Therapy
rant moment.
time. Yeah.
But so what I like to do is any of at the top of my code, I start by creating an errors map and an infos map. And then rather than doing, the integrated info and then my variable, I just
Good.
put I put the variable into that infos map. And then I also have my try catches and if statements for if there are any errors, then I put it into that errors map.
Yeah.
And then at the very end of my code, I take both of those maps, put them into one like return map, and then if it's like a standalone function or a button function that has a return, then I just return that map. Otherwise, if it's just an automation function, then I just info that return map at the end. That
Got
way,
it.
even if I'm in a terrible debugger like Zoho Desk, for example, like I mentioned, all I have to do is just double click on all the gobbledygook that gets spit back at me, copy and paste it into a JSON viewer, and now it's all
Yeah.
nicely nested and structured in a way that I can see it. Especially
Great
with
idea.
I can put all of my error messages at the top, right?
Yeah.
So that I don't have to go digging through to see like, okay, did this succeed? And did this fail? Did this succeed? Did this fail? No, I just see all the failures right away at the top. And then, any additional context is available down below. So
Yeah, that's a great idea.
yeah, this is gonna save you a lot of headaches while you're debugging
Especially with
your
longer
code.
functions, like you're mentioning. It's like a quick little function. You might not need something like this. Just do a little info statement. You're good to go. But like you can get into a function where like you're making 10, 11, 12 different get or put requests
Mm-hmm.
via API.
Yeah.
And if all those just come out in a big single line of text, it becomes completely unmanageable. If
Yeah.
like you're having an issue on step 8, right? Like it is
Yeah.
very difficult to parse that out. But the way you're doing it, it'd be pretty clear. It's like, okay, yeah, that's where my problem is because I can just see
Mm-hmm.
it in this map of data.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it gives
great,
each of your
great
info
feature.
statements a nice little built-in label too, which is nice.
Yeah,
By
yeah, really
adding
nice.
like a key for it. There's also oh well, never mind. I lost my train of thought. I had it and I lost it. Should have written an info
Add it
statement
and
for
lost
my
it.
head.
It'll come back and we'll edit it into the video at a later date.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, I think we're ready to jump over to what's new at Zenatta.com. All right, here it is, long awaited. This is a bit of a dual header. So there's a blog and a YouTube video over on the site. So we did it. We said we were going to do it. We finally have done it. This is a marketing automation 2.0 full product overview. This is Wayne kind of running through here and showing all the various functionality, integrations, kind of core workflows within the application. He also does spend some time highlighting a couple of the things that might be challenging or might still need some updates or tweaks within Zoho marketing automation. As you guys know, we always like to be honest about these applications, and this is one that I think Wayne's current feeling is let's stick with campaigns for just a little longer. So maybe we'll have an updated one of these once it's fully ready to go. But we did want to get it out just to show where some of those challenges might be because they might not matter for you. You might look at the issues and go, hey, you know what? I don't use that part of this. And the part that I do use looks pretty great. So you might want to move over. As we always do with these long form webinars, I know sometimes you guys are sick of hearing us talk. So we do like to write out all the kind of key points and takeaways from these and get them up over on the website as a blog for you. So again, this is kind of a long blog because this is a big app with a lot of different functionality, but well worth taking a look at. And a big shout out to Wayne for taking the time to put this together. I'm sure that you guys will find this one pretty darn useful.
It's a long blog, you said? Long blog?
Long blog.
It's a pretty long blog. Bob blah blah's law blog. Little Arrested Development.
I'm gonna rewatch Arrested Development and go back down the rabbit hole. All it takes.
Yep.
Before we go too far down that, Let us jump into the last section here for this week, which will be our tip of the week. All right, the madman continues. This is another Zoho creator kind of masterclass video from Josh Oliver, VP of Operations and resident creator genius here at Zenatta. So this is a 20-minute video on using standalone functions inside a Zoho creator. This is kind of like an accidental connection to the video you made, Greg, because in your like error proofing and error checking video, you really recommend using standalone functions to kind of like decentralize some of these actions and make functions a little bit more modular. I think you showed a demo more from the perspective of CRM. Josh is now showing it. So how would I do that same thing in Creator? You might have asked after watching Greg's video. Here it is. This is exactly how you do it in Creator. So he goes through showing like creating the standalone function, as well as then invoking that standalone function in a different piece of script and using the outcome to kind of move forward with your automation. So again, Josh is the guy when it comes to creator in the world of Zoho, and especially here at Zenatta. So well worth taking a look at this video. You might look at 20 minutes long and make this face that Josh is making in this screenshot I just happened to grab, but I promise you it will fly by. This information is just extremely useful if you're developing any applications inside a Zoho creator.
Yeah, it goes to show you just how good of a team we are here. We're in sync and we don't even know it sometimes. We don't even have to like coordinate topics. It just happens.
Perfectly matched up together. And then as always here, shameless self-plug, be sure to check out the YouTube channel over at youtube.com/Zenatta. This is where we post all our videos, all the webinars, all the tips, all the podcasts, really everything that we are doing. We upload right over here for you. 4 or 5 videos a week that we try to put out. So really always appreciate everybody's support and hope that you continue to enjoy the videos that we're making for you.
Speaking of the people enjoying our videos, we need to start thinking of, we need a nickname for our subscribers.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like you have like the Logan Paulers, or
you have one prepared. Are you leading into one that you've thought of already?
No, we could go with like Zen Heads or something like that.
Heads
like
is become one. Or Heads rip off.
Zenny and the Jets. I don't know.
They would be the Jets because we would be Zenny.
Yeah. We're Zenny and they're our Jets. Become a true Jet.
I like that one.
Join Zenny and the Jets.
Well, leave a comment down below. What should the name of our subscribers be? Like that, Freddie and Wayne? That's a little plug to get to the comment section. I'm a real content creator. Let us know. What do you think? What do you think we should name our community? Club members? That'd be a too simple of one over on the Club Zen side, but I'm not a creative. With that, before I embarrass myself anymore, Zenners, trying to be creative, let us wrap things up for this week. Alrighty, as always, if you want to get in touch with myself or Brett or anybody else on the Zenatta team, just head over to zenatta.com and click on Book a Meeting. We'd love to talk to you.
And you can head over to zenatta.com/resources. Check out the Zoho library, all the blogs long blogs that Tyler already mentioned, as well as all of these show notes. And if you want all this just delivered to your inbox on a weekly basis, go to zenatta.com/newsletter and sign up and never miss a beat. You can also go to club.zenatta.com. Hold on, I'm not done. I'm not finished. Go to club.zenatta.com. Check out the code share we just shared. And also, if you want to train your team in less than a week on CRM, projects, and more, head to zenatta.com/training. You may now go, Tyler.
For takeoff? Okay. Last but not least, be sure to like and subscribe here on YouTube, as well as your choice of podcast app. And we will see you next Friday.
Don't ever talk over me again.
Sorry, Greg. I'm sorry, Greg. Sorry. Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday.